Let's jump to healthcare, because I'm, granted, I'm a little biased. I spent some time on healthcare, but I would guess that this is going to have a huge impact on the elections, one way or the other. And so, you know, we're looking at what's going on in Washington on healthcare. We've been spending almost a year on healthcare. It's not clear yet. We really don't know what we're going to end up happening. So, but Minnesotans and people across the country continue to struggle with healthcare costs, and health insurance premiums certainly are the symptom of that you see in those rising costs. So I'd like to talk about the strategies that each of your party has to address these cost drivers in healthcare, and specific in Minnesota, and how do we help these businesses who are really struggling with that? So Donna, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, and first of all, Dana, I just want to say that I think we need to stop pretending that the Republican Party holds the mantle for fiscal responsibility. At the end of President Clinton's term, we had a $5 trillion surplus, and projected after George Bush's term, $10 trillion deficit. With exploding deficits like that, and I believe irresponsible fiscal policy, we need to be clear about that. Okay, we have different priorities perhaps, and we have different approaches, but that's a very different issue. And so that is in large part the failed economic policies the last 8 to 10 years that have brought us to the situation that we're in at this present time. As far as health care goes, obviously it's a huge issue. So it's putting pressure on families across our state, on businesses, and that's one of the reasons that obviously the president has addressed healthcare reform so boldly and early into his administration. It is not sustainable, the increases that we've seen. Since 2002, premiums have doubled in Minnesota. That is absolutely not sustainable. And so to do nothing is unacceptable, but to do something, we have some folks that would prefer to see the president fail than actually have an open, honest discussion about what reforms that we need to have. If you ask people specifically if pre-existing conditions should not be part of denial for coverage, overwhelmingly they're in favor. So if you look at the specifics of the healthcare proposals that have been proposed, people are with it. Same with the general GAMC, which had overwhelmingly bipartisan support to reinstore that funding that the governor eliminated last year. But then we got to politics over principle once it came down to overriding the governor's line on that particular program. It's short-sighted. We're going to end up paying for the folks that would not have been covered otherwise. We need to really be honest with ourselves and say, how do we deal with this long-term? Sometimes, yes, you do need to make an investment initially so that overall you save money, just like we're doing on the national level.
So Jack, healthcare costs, how do you get to them?
The 800-pound gorilla in this debate is the fact that 50%, more than 50% of all healthcare costs are attributable to what? To personal behavior. The Independence Party emphasizes personal responsibility. When you look at diabetes, heart attacks, all of those, they're driven by the fact that we eat too much, we drink too much, smoke too much, and we don't exercise enough. The Independence Party begins the debate by saying, look, what can all of us do first? That's where and that's what is missing from this debate right now. But beyond that, what we have to look at how can we fundamentally reform the system. And what we have to start doing is we have to start focusing on outcomes, not procedures. Our whole system is based on the premise of treating you after you get sick. That's completely backwards. What we want to do is prevent you from ever getting sick in the first place. And that's what the Independence Party is going to be focused on. And I think that's how we're going to lower costs. And let me just add one last thing. You look at Minnesota. Do you know that if you're in Minnesota, you are 50% more likely to have back surgery than other places in the state? And that's not a fact that we're sort of lifting heavier weights. It's just that our system is promoting the wrong thing. But here's what's really amazing. You know what the best way to solve back problems? don't do anything. Just give your body some time. But we're so focused on procedures that's driving up healthcare. But again, I want to emphasize personal responsibility.
Thank you, Tony.
Well, I think that as somebody who actually signs a check every month to Health Partners for health insurance for folks in our company, I have on the front line. Sorry, on the. Either it was
By Twin West.
yeah, sorry, no matter what it was either it was double-digit increase no matter who we went with, but the and that's part of the problem. I mean,
Back
we
to Jack's comment.
have this we have this sort of we got to hit bigger government to kind of help take care of this problem on the one side. On the other side, you got to exercise more or something. But I mean, the fact of the matter is that we need to make the markets freer when it comes to health insurance. I mean, we should take baby steps when it comes to health care reform. Man, why don't we start with the things we can agree on? I mean, right now, the president runs right to the thing that's the most controversial, that's the most difficult, this public option in health care, government-run health care. And the reasons people are so skeptical of it, here's another big government program and spend billions and trillions of dollars that probably won't even solve the problem, probably won't make things better. You know, people are, believe it or not, people are cynical about government out there. I don't know if anyone's been out lately. And so that's why there's a skepticism about government-run health care. Well, why don't we start with some things that we could agree on? Maybe get some tort reform to lower those costs. Why don't we allow for competition? So right now I basically have 3 choices to choose from, as everyone in this room does, for health insurance. Why don't we open that up, make there's more choices for health care? You know, the biggest health care provider in this country, United Health, is based in Minnesota. They can't put out a bid on health care. Maybe we open up the market. Why don't we start with some things that we can agree on that maybe can get these costs down before we start running right off to let's have the government take care of it, let's have the government run it, and let's take a step back, and that's what the Republicans are advocating. Let's wipe the slate clean, let's start from scratch, and let's start with the things that we can agree on, things that would be, that would make common sense and that would be real and tangible.
Okay, let's ask you guys a question on health care. So if Congress passes the health care reform this year, and for purposes of this, let's say it's the Senate bill with the changes that the President has proposed in reconciliation. And so voting to 99503, what impact would that have on your business? Increased taxes and regulations, would be harder to do business in Minnesota or national in the country in general. Relieve my business from that person is quick with their texting. Is my son here? Relieve my business from the ever-increasing cost of healthcare, or don't know, it's just too complicated, I can't figure it out. And I've read like both of the 2,000-some page bills, and it's hard to figure out, and it's what I do. Okay, we'll watch this for a couple minutes here. Okay, so kind of moving around a little bit, but a lot of people still confused, not sure what's in it. Quarter of the people say this is going to help my business here, and then almost half there are saying it's going to increase taxes and regulations.